Hello YouTube. Today we're going to be discussing Star Wars Jedi Knight Jedi Academy, the third installment in the Jedi Knight sub-series from the Dark Forces game in the 90s. Jedi Academy was released in 2003 by Ravensoft and LucasArts on Microsoft Windows. Otherwise, it was a childhood favorite for me and some of my closest friends. We used to play all the time, and it was a lot of fun. I'm going to go over the restoration project known as OpenJK and how to get this fired up and installed on a dedicated Debian box so you can hopefully play with some of your friends. I'm going to go ahead and select the standard installer versus the graphic installer. Select my languages. Rename the host as JK3 server, and domain can be whatever you'd like, but I'm going to put jk3server.win. Go ahead and set your root password. Go ahead and create your sub-user, and go ahead and let that parse through and do its updates. Your time zone. First, scan extra media. Select the closest package location for updating, and be sure to select the boot drive and remove all of the graphic interface because this is going to be a headless box, and set the grub boot installer as SVDA depending on your system. So the majority of the remaining stuff is just going to be standard network SSH configuration for Debian. So you're going to go ahead and log in as root. Go ahead and manually specify the IP address by editing the networking.interface. I'm going to go ahead and comment out IP version 6 because I'm not using it. I'm going to set a static address, and then I'm going to go ahead and put in the address I would like to specify. Next, I'm going to add my net mask, which for me is 255.255.255.0. Your mileage may vary. I'm going to need a gateway to get out to the internet and around my network, so I'm going to type gateway and specify 192.168.1.1. I'm going to also need a DNS server to do some resolutions, so I'm going to type DNS-name server and throw in Google's default. Great. I have to restart networking. Easy enough. And in order to get logged in, I'm going to have to allow SSH, because by default Debian has it turned off, for root at least. So I'm opening my ports and my listening addresses, and I'm allowing root password login. This is not good behavior on a giant public network, but I'm just playing Jedi Knight. Great. I'm going to restart SSH. I'm going to assume quite a few of you have skipped the intro and you're all logging in via SSH. I just wanted to do the server build also so it was fresh, clean, and in order. So from here we're going to log in via SSH into our Debian 12 box. And now the preparation of putting Jedi Knight on it will begin. So the first thing we're going to need to do is apt update and app upgrade. So get our system current if it's not. Then we're going to proceed to install superuser.do so we can copy and paste real easy into our SSH windows. We're going to copy and paste all of the stuff we might possibly need to run the server. And you can find that on my blog. We're going to install curl and Node.js and GamerDB and stuff for updates. And you can see all that happen relatively quickly, and you can follow along with the written instructions as well. This is just a little refresher. So we're installing GameDig now, and we're going to update it and configure it, make sure it's running okay, and it is. This is where it's going to deviate a little bit. Since the majority of you, I would assume, are going to be installing the game files onto the server off of Steam, I'm doing it on Windows. It's easier for me, and I don't really know how to use Steam CMD. There are ways to pull it in off of Steam through Linux command line. You could also put this on some kind of a shared server and bring it in over SMB. But for the purposes of this, I'm going to throw these files into the server via WinSCP. You could do this off of Mac. You could do this off of GOG. You could do it off of anywhere. You can install the game. If you install the game off of CDs, the original CDs media, you need to make sure you patch the install to 1.01 or it will not work. So for the purpose of this, I'm not covering all of that. I'm going to assume you have installed the game onto Steam and we're pulling out of the Steam directories. The first thing we're going to do is create a JA directory inside of our home folder for our user. After that's happened, we're going to go ahead and find the game data folder of the Jedi Academy install, wherever that might be. We're going to copy the entire game data directory into this JA folder we have just created on the Debian 12 box. It won't take very long, it's only a little over a gig. For some of you, it's going to be in your Steam Apps Common Jedi Academy game data folder. For others, it'll be located wherever you have chosen to install it. Next thing we're going to do is go to the OpenJA GitHub page. You can find the link in the guide. And because we're going ahead and doing the Linux version of this on an x86 chip, we're going to use this file right here. So we're going to download that into Windows for the purpose of this, and we're going to extract it using WinSCP onto the Linux server because we've already got it set up. You could easily pull a wget or a number of other ways you could yank these files down and extract them via command line, but that's how we're doing it today. Now that you've got that downloaded, you're going to extract it directly into the game data folder, overwriting any files in the process. But when I did it, no files needed overwritten. Now we have to generate the server.cfg file. It 100% must be located inside of the base directory, not in the game data directory, not in some other directory. It must be inside the base directory. I spent like 3.5, 4 hours on multiple installs on different operating systems. Same issue. You cannot manually specify the location of the server.cfg file. It must be in the base folder. Otherwise, you get greeted with this couldn't exec server.cfg. It happened to me on Windows, it happened to me on Linux, and I thought maybe I had done something incorrectly copying the files over. I didn't see a lot of documentation on fixing this exact issue. Maybe it used to exist at some point, but the forums that it was on got taken down. So just make sure you generate the server.cfg file. So I've gone ahead and created one, a sample one, and put it in paste bin. So we're going to go ahead and copy, and we're going to create a nano text file called server.cfg. We're going to paste it in, and we're going to save. That's it. We're really ready to test it. You might need to do a chmod and elevate the folder to read and write only 777. But here is the server running as it should. And what we'll do is we'll log in on another computer and test what the server config looks like when you're logging in remotely. And there we go, we're in. It's just that simple. So the server is functional and we are logged in. Let's take a look. Well, that worked. But like any good server, we're really going to need that to start on boot. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and create a service to automatically start JK3. I'm going to pause it on the screen here for just a moment so you guys can look at it. It's also going to be available on the blog. But you go ahead and you copy and paste that into this nano file, openjk.service. Hit save. You enable the service. You start the service. And now we're going to check the service. And it's all enabled, active. And just go ahead and reboot to test. The only port I ran into that I needed was 29070, despite what the rest of the internet said. So, open that on your router and point it at your machine. Well, I hope we have covered some of the more troublesome questions with getting one of these servers up and running, and have a great day. I guess like and subscribe.